There's something very spectacular about the retro vibe. And Jawa seems to be doing a great job with retro motorcycles, especially with the new Jawa 350. Just look at it. It looks so premium, so wonderful, so good looking. What the hell is that? What are you doing here?
Hey Aamir,
Hi.
I heard you're talking about retro motorcycles.
Yes.
Well, I don't think you can do that without the Royal Enfield Classic 350.
Is that so? Let's do one thing. Why don't we take both of these motorcycles on a long ride and we can compare which one's the better later.
That sounds like a great plan. Let's go ahead.
Let's go. So we've been riding for more than half of the day now and we've got enough time on both bikes. So let me ask you one thing. What is the crux of a retro motorcycle? What is the major appeal of it?
It has to be the design and styling of the motorcycle.
Definitely.
Retro motorcycles are chosen especially for their designs. Now this right here, the Classic 350, just like its name suggests, has a classic timeless design, which I've always loved. What do you like so much about the design of the Jawa 350?
Well, that is definitely premium, but with the new 2024 Jawa 350, things are a lot more premium now. And if you are talking about retro, then I think classic is beaten here because it's so old school and nice and retro, you know, with the pinstripes, the chromed out parts and everything. It just feels very flashy.
Well, I agree with you. It looks really flashy. The sunlight reflecting off it right now makes it look super premium and super, super cool in this avatar. I like it, but this right here again is offered in a bunch of color options, so there's much more for customers to choose from. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, but you know, who wouldn't want this lovely retro old school analog console? I mean, it's such a looker, dude.
You're right. It's one of the most unique ones in the segment.
Yeah.
It's a unique console. But what about the visibility problems there?
Well, I'm 6'2", so I can see most of it. The lower end is a little not visible so much, but...
And me being shorter, that's even more of an issue.
That's true.
And then again on the Classic, again, we have a classic console that you can read at any time of the day.
Simple and analog?
Simple and analog. Just like it should be. And additionally, Aamir, I have something else to tell you. Just like all Royal Enfields out there, for 10,000 rupees more, I can get the triple navigation pod. Can you get that?
No.
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. But as Azaman said, looks can be subjective. So which one of these motorcycles do you think is the better looking retro bike? Let us know in the comments below.
Now that we've covered the design and styling, another very important thing about how these motorcycles perform is of course that engine.
Right.
Okay, it's the heart of these motorcycles, and I today really enjoyed on the highway because I was riding the Classic and it's just such a usable motor. It's a breeze to ride along with, and the J series engine is so refined, which is what makes it all the more exciting. What do you think about the engine on the Jawa 350?
So the updated motor, right, it makes the Jawa 350 a lot more smoother and more refined than before. And there's one more interesting thing. It's a lot more fun and exciting, and the performance has a little more pep to it as compared to the Classic 350. And it's definitely easier to make quicker overtakes on this one than compared to that.
But then again, on the highway, I was out cruising between 100 and 110 kilometers an hour with no vibrations, and it was just such an easy experience. Can that do that?
That is true. After 80 kmph, this can get a little buzzy, but it's not so much that it, will spoil your experience, your entire riding experience for a long time. But in the real world tests, the Jawa 350 gave us 10 point some seconds of 0 to 100 acceleration time, right? How much time did the Royal Enfield Classic 350 take?
Well, I got to give it to that one. There's a big difference. This takes almost 16 seconds to get to 100 kilometers an hour, which is a really big difference. But then again, not everyone wants a fast motorcycle. Some people just want to ride and take in the views. Now, you were talking about the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour runs being faster on that motorcycle, which I completely agree with. but what I get here is better mileage.
Oh, definitely. In our real world tests, we have found out that both these motorcycles perform better in the city in terms of fuel efficiency as compared to the highways. And talking about the city, this one's much easier for quicker overtakes and the roll-on acceleration is much faster.
Okay, I do agree. When you're trying to cruise on this one in higher gears at lower speeds, it does feel slightly sluggish.
Another thing is that the clutch on the Jawa 350 is really light. Makes things a lot more easy, especially in the traffic.
Okay, I surely agree with you there because when we swapped motorcycles, I did like this more in the city, and that's because the clutch action on this is slightly on the heavier side. So being stuck in traffic jams is quite a hassle. Now, coming to another important segment, the braking of this motorcycle. Now, from our real world test, what we have found out is that both these motorcycles are very similar in terms of braking performance, but the characteristics of how they come to a halt are different.
That's right. So the braking performance on the Jawa 350, it offers a great initial bite, feedback and performance, right? And it inspires a lot of confidence in the rider to, just ride hard. But there is one issue. Under hard braking, the front fork dies a little. But that is something we'll address later. How is the braking performance on the Classic 350?
So on the Classic 350, you miss that initial bite that you get on the Jawa 350. The bite comes in slightly later. And another thing that I hope for could have been better is the ABS calibration, because when you get on these brakes in case of an emergency, the lever tends to pull back, which is a slightly unnerving feeling.
Another very important thing that I've noticed is the Jawa 350 feels a lot more easier to maneuver and just feels agile in general. I can't say the same thing about the Classic 350. And second thing is that the Jawa 350 tips into the corners very easily. On the other hand, the Classic, it takes in a lot more efforts to tip into corners, but after that, it remains stable throughout, very planted.
I agree. So now one of the main things I have to say is that this is a 195 kg motorcycle and that's a 194 kg motorcycle. Although once you swing a leg over that, it feels extremely light, almost as if it's a 175 kg motorcycle. Now that has a lot to do with many differentiating factors, like the fact that this rides on a 19 and an 18-inch spoke wheel, whereas that rides on an 18 and a 17-inch spoke wheel. That has a higher center of gravity. They have different weight distribution. So there's a lot of different things going on for these different motorcycles. So that one is surely the better city slicker, whereas this one is the better one to be out on the highway and stable at higher speeds. Now we're going to talk about comfort of these motorcycles. So the Classic 350 right here, just like the nature of its motor, it has a laid back riding position. So as you can see, I'm pretty comfortable on this motorcycle. There's easy access to the ground. I have an upright riding position and there's easy reach to the handlebars as well. What about that one?
Even though they are roadsters and very similar retro, right? But they have slightly different riding postures. On the Jawa 350, the foot peg position are slightly higher and it puts you in a slightly more engaging posture, right? So, and there is more space for you to move around for your upper body, not so much for your lower body because it's tightly packed right here. Now what this helps with is that if you want to do a bit of a sporty riding, then you can just move around and enjoy your ride. But that said, which one of these is more comfortable for you though?
So just because of how well padded this seat is, I find this a good bike to be cruising longer distances.
For some reason, I think that this is better suited for me, especially because the seat on that is slightly higher and the handlebar position slightly lower. So it puts me in an awkward position for longer rides.
That's also because you're taller, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now, other part of the comfort is the suspension. Now, the suspension on the Jawa 350 is almost great, right? The front fork is almost plush and absorbs most of the things. But the rear suspension is slightly firm, right? So there is an imbalance in suspension tuning, and when going through big or harsh potholes, it can put you in a very awkward or uncomfortable position.
And I bet the pillion comfort isn't that great too, right?
Oh, absolutely not, because there are no grab rails, proper ones, like these ones are the grab rails. And when you're going through a pothole, the blow is right to the back for the pillion.
In terms of suspension, this is a more well-rounded package. Although if you're going to be hitting potholes at high speeds, you can really feel the weight of the motorcycle. And additionally, this is a really good pillion seat for comfort as well.
Now both these motorcycles are definitely retro and offer an old school vibe, but they cater to very different audiences. Somebody who wants a relaxed and laid back riding experience would love the Classic 350. But if somebody wants a sporty motorcycle in the packaging of an old, retro and beautiful looking bike, then this one makes more sense.
Additionally, Royal Enfield as a brand has many service centers and touch points compared to Classic Legends. And that is an important decision that a consumer takes into it before making a purchase. Now, this motorcycle has been around for 2.5 years now, so Royal Enfield have managed to sort out all the niggles in this time. This being a new product, it already is quite an update and a great one at that, but it will take some time to reach the level that this one is at. Also, I agree with him. Both these motorcycles are great in their own way, but they are going to appeal to a different kind of a rider.
That said, which one do you prefer, Jawa or Royal Enfield, and which one do you already have? Tell us your story in the comments below. And stay tuned to ZigWheels because we have a lot more automotive content headed your way.